Okay, now I'm ready to try this again. To try to describe the Romantics, well, as I just said at the end of that other video, certain key words keep coming up, and maybe that's the best you can do. Whereas, and again, think of it as a reaction against the 18th century. That was the age of reason. Well, this feelings, they said, well, the humans don't only have a mind, there's also the heart. There's not just ideas, there's also feelings. And you'll see that word emotions coming around a lot. Simplicity. Well, in the 18th century, they loved things to be fancy. And to the Romantics, a three-legged stool could have a certain simplicity to it. Here's a worse than a three-legged stool. This is a broken-up chair, but it wasn't thrown out because you could still sit on it. I mean, to a Romantic, you say, well, it's got a certain beauty to it. I mean, to other people, they just say nonsense. But the anyway, simplicity as opposed to fancy. Nature. I capitalized it. Nature becomes almost like a god to the Romantics. They practically worship nature. So to be on the side of a mountain by a high waterfall was like a religious experience to them. And something that's natural almost has to be good to the Romantics. Now there was a dark side to the Romantics that I'll tell you a little bit about too. Freedom. People wanted to be free. When Mozart ran down a hall, he ran into a room in that movie Amadeus, and everybody kind of looked the same. One guy had a different colored wig. They all looked the same. That's the way they wanted to be. Part of a civilization that was working well, and they were all doing their part. Well, the Romantics prized individuality. Be different. That was not only okay, that was good. Be different. Be free. Be free to think different ways and to dress differently. You know, back to the nature and the simplicity, women would have their paintings, their portraits done in the Romantic period in their bare feet. And as if the wind were blowing their hair. This phrase, far away in time and place, is used. To the Romantics, here and now was not romantic. And I left the word imagination out. I really needed to put that there. Imagination is another one that keeps coming up. And as I talk about some of the artwork, some of the classics that come out of this, you'll see this. They got interested in history. The Middle Ages, that was 500 years earlier. That interested them. And far away, a South Sea island, you know, the heart of Africa. Someplace that was far away, either in time and place. And then finally, this phrase, the noble savage. The Romantics tended to put a lot of this stuff together. And they had this idea that a savage had to be noble because he would not be spoiled by civilization. He would have lived in the world of nature. So basically, if you could go into the jungle somewhere and find some complete savage, he would be noble. And an example of that idea, to show that it still works to some extent, is Crocodile Dundee. If you've ever heard of Crocodile Dundee, you wouldn't have to write this down. They made it. To a lesser extent, maybe Tarzan or George of the Jungle. I'm so happy that they're back. Anyway, they're going to be loud. All right, well, I'll let them close my video off, my barn swallows that are happy that the sun's shining. I'll see you tomorrow.